Recently it's been so sunny we can't point the camera to the east because the sun comes in the lens, but it's scattered cloud this morning, which we're kind of happy for because it's been pretty hot, really hot. I know it's still going to be hot, even with the scattered cloud it's going to be hot, but morning gang. Okay. The guy in the window, yeah, he's still there. I forget his name. I went over to Reddit one day, but I can't remember what his name is. I should have learned all these guys by now. All these comedians and comedians, I should have learned their names, but there's a limit to how much you can. Have I seen the Olympics? The what? I've seen only one thing in the past 48 hours, and that's this desk. That's this desk. Okay, gang, good morning. We're going to have some interesting stuff today. The key block, I did my homework. The key block is done. And last night, yesterday evening, I should have done the first color separations ready to paste down this morning. But I kind of ran out of energy, so we're going to do it this morning. Anyway, you want to see this anyway, right? The black ink going on. So we're done. We're done. When I say we're done, it's first stage done. Almost certainly there is going to be lots and lots of, I'm not sure what word to use, not fixing, because the lines are there. But there are many places where I will have to fix or touch up the mood of the stroke of the hair. We talked about this all the way along. Many of these hairs are just sort of, they're cut to the first stage. They need to be tapered and made more irregular. A bunch of them are just in a row all the same length. They have to be randomized a little bit. And there's a lot of hair on there, so that's going to take a while, but it's not a job I can do until we see some test printing, until we see the sample. The calligraphy will need touching up. The basic shape of it is done, but there will be lots of how it goes around the corners. You've got to put a sharper corner here, put a rounder corner here. And you just can't see them in the raw wood, but once it's printed, you can see the result on the paper. But that's not for today, that's for later. Today's job is this. We're simply going to splash some black pigment on here, take a couple of rough proofs just on junk paper, which I was supposed to get ready. Here we go. A couple of proofs just on, junk paper so we can see what it looks like. And then I'm going to do color separations for 3 color blocks. We'll talk about it as we get going. But first step, we have to do the thing, black pigment. It's the part that we love to hate. Or what is it? What's the best word? I don't know. I got to see it. I've got to make the print. That's what this is all about. And yet these blocks are so cool in their raw carved state that it's always oh my God, do I have to mess this up? Because it's just such a cool thing. So say goodbye. Take your last look at it now. It's a bit hard to see the image. For example, there's eyes in there, but because it's all raw wood, they don't stand out. So you can't actually see what this thing looks like. This part of the wood is really hard. Around here, really hard. The rest of the block is way too soft, but So I should have done this last night, but I saved it for the stream. What I should have done, actually, just gone ahead and done my work last night and just videoed it and had a replay this morning. We've done that before. I should maybe make that a regular thing, do a replay. Okay, let's do it. I have some, it's not really rich black. We've got some just sumi pigment in a bowl. It's kind of gray. It might actually be too gray This is what you're going to see is not the finished print. We're just going to see where the lines are, where the shapes are. Updates, if there are updates to things to talk about, I've got a list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things I'm supposed to ask you, tell you, show you, or ask your help about. Let me get this first stage of this done first, then I've got some stuff to dump on you, so remind me about that in a few minutes. I scanned the block last night. I scanned it twice. I scanned it once when the black stuff was still on it, and then I scanned it again a few minutes later after taking the black off and letting it dry. So I have 2 scans. I didn't prepare them for showing you this morning, but I did do that. This is too gray. We're going to need more black. Excuse me a sec. I'm going to run to the back room and fetch some soon. Back in 1 minute. Every year it gets more and more difficult to get in and out of this bench. I went back to the party room. The party room is still back there. We haven't dismantled it yet, you know. Where to put this? Trouble. Okay. Okay, here we go. We're not worried about registration, we're not worried about let's just take a first. Oh, it would help if I had a baron. First rough impression here. Meet our tiger. Well, it looks like a tiger. Where did we start? We started down on the tail here. How long ago? I can't remember, back when I was young. I think we're okay here. There's certainly lots of trimming. Some of these lines here definitely have to be thinner. Absolutely. Some of these absolutely have to be trimmed. Way too thick. That should be almost invisible. This one too. This should be invisible. But it's a start. It's a start. These two, look at this, this is no good. These things come down straight and straight. They've got to be tapered off from each side, absolutely. They've got to be tapered off. If we go back and look at the original, you can see it here. Look, right? They go to nothing. They go to light, and they're much more randomized. So we've got lots of work still to do here. But we have a workable block. No reduction print here. No, nothing at all. We're going to have a key block and 4 color blocks. Key block and 4 color blocks. Okay, so I'm now going to take, you know what's happening. Those of you who've seen this before, I'm going to print I'm going to print this thing 4 times onto the transfer sheet paper. And then we'll see what happens next. It's drying. It's so dry. At this stage, it looks kind of cool to show. Look at this. The block is sort of blackened. We've got a reverse. We've got an albino tiger here. This looks so cool. It's too bad we can't leave it like this. It's going to go jet black all over. But right now, you've got the black stain in the back, and it pulled the ink off the top. So this looks reverse. This is so cool. If I didn't like woodblock printmaking, I wouldn't mind mucking about with this as a carving thing, just to make an object. But, anyway, let's go. Okay, the next part now is critical, so I'm not going to, I'll leave you alone for a few minutes. You guys can explain to anybody else coming along what's going on. I have to keep quiet for a minute here because this is critical. The registration now, this is where, the next step now is where the registration all really happens. At the moment, the registration marks are cut here, the corner and the kagi and the hitsuke, together making up the kento. And at the moment, they're random. It doesn't matter. But it's this next step that turns those 2 random notches into true registration marks. And if I get it wrong at this point, we are hosed. Thought something was a little bit funny there. Somebody get a notice there? With the new print, you haven't learned the muscle memory yet, where all the things are. At this point, we can't see it, and my muscles haven't learned where it is. When you're printing a batch of prints, you learn very quickly where to rub, but when it's a brand new one, your muscles don't yet know where to go. other thing about these transfers is this backing paper is really thick. When it comes to do the normal print, the washi will be thinner, it'll be softened, and we can print much more delicately, being much more careful with these fine lines. Beautiful, beautiful. Now she's warmed up. Not sure if anybody noticed what I did there. I don't have time to go back to the chat right now and see this, but I'm curious if you guys recognized what I did there. Double-sided transfers, no? Okay, now the block's warmed up a bit more. It's warmed up a bit better, so this is more of a... Going to be really difficult. The printers, you know, they got to print in the middle of the tiger, but if you put your pressure a bit too much around the edges, all the outside hair gets to be too dark. They're going to go nuts when it comes time to print this one. They are going to go nuts. They're going to hate me. What's somebody saying? Forgot to put Gampi on the first one. No, nope, sorry. We all noticed, we all saw it. Did you? Did you? Okay, now this, as I said, needs lots of touching up, but right now this block is wet, so there's no way I can put my knife to this block right now. This block has to be set aside 2 or 3 hours. Once all that water's out of it, then we can start slicing and touching up. But for now, it just goes away. Yes, the last copy I pulled, we didn't go with the registration marks. Obviously, you can see what happened here. I put the paper down on the block, blah, 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 and it moved. John's got it here. Look. Double. I didn't even attempt to hold it in the registration marks. I just wanted to pull it. Okay, enough fooling around. Let's get to the next stage of the process. We have, coming up now, we have blank wood. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, and we need to prepare for 4 color blocks. And what we're going to do is this. We have 4 transfer sheets. We have 4 transfer sheets. And this one's printed quite nicely and carefully. That's one nice and carefully. This one's quite a bit rougher. Too much pigment in the middle there. And here we go. Block number 1. Block number 1. Okay, what I did when I started to do the color blocks, I got my paper ready, my 4 blank sheets. I put them down at the side. And the very first one, I printed it the wrong way around. I put the Gumpy face up, idiot guy here, and I put it on the block and started to rub. And as soon as I realized, of course, that I'm rubbing on top of the Gumpy, so that's meaningless to print on the back. So I printed it, put it aside, then when I came back, I printed it in the correct orientation with this thing printed on the back. I put the first one down face up instead of face down. Okay, first block. Here's we're going to use the red marker here to define the areas of wood that we are going to keep. And again, I gotta go get some new red markers. And here's the first complicated color block. The first block is going to be basically the entire surface, with the exception of the cartouche. Crap, these are wearing out. I should have bought some more. Idiot boy. So it's all going to be carved. We're going to keep the entire face of the block except for the combo, the cartouche. It shouldn't be very difficult to carve that one. It'll be done in 15 minutes. Let's mark out the next one. I'll tell you what, I don't, these red markers, they're dying, they're dead, so I'm going to switch over. Red is easier and best to use. Look at this, new ones, yellow ones. I've got new ones, but they're yellow. Can't be helped. Let's switch to yellow, doesn't matter. Yeah, put the dead ones in the garbage. I know, instead of putting them back on the shelf. You're right. Hey, away they go. Okay. Let's explain what's going to go on. There's going to be 4 color blocks. One color block will be, let's use the let's use the picture. One color block is going to be the entire background surface of the paper, minus the cartouche area. It will print the area that will be the ground, the area that will be the background sky, the area that will print the tiger. It will print everything except the cartouche. And the only place you will see it on the final print is the ground. This will be the area that we're going to carve. This block. The only visible place left at the end of the print being finished will be the ground. So it's a base tone that goes under everything. The next block, the one we're going to mark out now, is going to be the area that will be the sky. And before I chatted with the printers yesterday, I had been thinking that the sky block would come under the body of the tiger and the background. The girls asked me not to do it that way. Now, if we were going to make a print that looks like what you see here, that would be fine, because this, quote, sky color, beige tan, it matches the color that we see on the tiger. It could easily go underneath. But they want the flexibility to do test printing with some different kind of stuff. They want to try actually maybe making a blue sky or a gradation or something dramatic, a black sky or something like this. They're going to try some different variations. And if the sky block is under the tiger, you can't do that. You can't make a black sky, because then underneath the body of the tiger it becomes black. So what they're asking me to do is, Dave, split it. Base tone under everything, that's okay. Then a separate block for the sky area and a separate block for the tiger. And it'll be an A zone and a B zone. They won't underlay each other. It'll be one and the other. That will give them much, much more flexibility to do their testing. The downside is there has to be a joint. Now, someplace like this, where we see these lines, no problem. This sky block will come sort of up to this line, and the tiger block will come up to this line, and I've got to be careful carving them that I don't have a gap between them. It's going to have a tiny bit of overlap, but no gap. Here where there's a line, it's easy, and in places like this, where we have hair, this is going to get much more difficult. The sky has to come underneath all that hair, and the tiger block can't come into the hair. So this is not trivial. This is why I didn't want to do it this way. I wanted to run the sky block under and then the tiger block over. But they talked to me yesterday afternoon, and that's the way we're going to have to do it. I'm going to have to figure out where to make this thing match. The previous guy who did this, he didn't have a separate sky block. He had a tiger block, and you can see, look at this. See the tiger color there? It goes way past where it should be. They really didn't care too much about it. Okay here, but look at this, way out. And on this one, he brought it halfway through that fuzzy hair. So I'm going to have to make my call now. And I am not the happiest guy, but I get what they want. I understand what they want. So let's do this. Coming up now, the color for the tiger block. I'm not following all the conversation. I'm sorry. The eyes are separate. We'll talk about the eyes in a minute. The eyes are not going to be on the tiger block. The eyes are going to be out of the tiger block. They're going to start by being the base tone, and we are going to cut a separate block just for the eyes, because we are thinking we can add a bit of drama here. That's also dead. What's going on here? Now, where to do this, I can't tell you. I am just going to do this, and with my knife, as I'm cutting it later this afternoon, my knife is going to decide where to go. And of course, I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to put the tiger block out a bit too far and the sky block down a bit too far, so that we start with more of an overlap rather than white gaps. And then when we see what that looks like, we pull back. Now there's also someone's asking about ita bokashi, ita no kashi, ita bokashi. That may be part of it. When we're, who is it, Corin? What Corin's asking about is the edges of this thing, these blocks, how sharp do they have to be? When we've got an edge that's on a line, of course, we cut the color block sharp. But the kind of blocks we're talking about here, we could cut the edge of the color block at a bit more of a rounded angle. So the edges of the color could be a bit more fuzzy. And indeed, that's perhaps going to be part of the recipe here. Okay, there are also some highlights. The tiger block is chopped out on a couple of places here. I can't follow all the conversation, I'm sorry. The Olympics broadcast is starting. Well, you know which is more interesting, go for it. I know I'm going to sit here and do my work, and if you're here, that's fine, and if people are going to, it's okay. It's okay. I cannot in any way compete with... I guess the ceremony was here last night, and I heard also yesterday afternoon the jets flew over. They did this sort of flyby thing with some jets and stuff. I missed all that. But yes, please go ahead and watch your Olympics. That's okay. Now what I might do is let's do this a bit backwards. To remind me, when I'm carving the yellow block, to remind me of the places to leave, let's put the red here to remind me which places to take out. Teeth. I think I'm going to take out the claws. So the claws on the original, I think, are not taken out. They are the same color as the rest of the tiger fur. But I'm thinking they deserve to be highlighted just like the teeth do. And I'm also thinking that that's a tooth. I may be wrong. I think we're okay. We have the teeth, the bottom tooth, the top tooth, the top tooth. I think, again, I'm not sure, I think that's his left tooth, but I'm not sure. This, I think, is perhaps a tooth or a fang coming out from the top. I don't know. I think that's we're good. So the eyes will be on a separate block later on. These areas will be left as highlights. Okay, let's do this. So let's paste this down and get it ready for carving. Rather than me sit and fool around now with 3 or 4 of these, let's use this to show the next step of the process. Let's paste it down. Shouldn't there be a 4th claw? Well, I don't think he drew one. I think 3 is all I can see in there. Are you thinking this is a claw? I don't know. I don't think so. You think this is a claw? Whatever, we can take it out later. I don't think it's a claw. Whatever. Fight about what? Am I outvoted here? Okay, here's our wood. It's going to go down. Okay, we've picked a piece of wood that we think will be suitable for this. I really am not happy with the wood that we've got available for it right now. This wood is fairly clear. There's a mess here in this corner, but that's not part of it. There's a mess down here, but that will not be in the picture. And those of you who have seen this before, you know how this is going to go. We have to find the two spots. The corner, we know where the corner will be. The other one will be about here. Camera. There we are, the two registration marks are now cut. There's two ways to do this. You know, I could have printed this with the paper. The traditional way is, when you're doing this, rub pigment over the whole thing. Rub pigment over the tiger, the border lines, and rub pigment over the registration marks. Then you slap your paper on top, and you print the tiger, the borders, and you print the registration marks. I'm not talking about how to make a print, I'm talking about how to make a transfer sheet. The old transfer sheets used to be done this way. You would print the registration marks onto the transfer sheet, and you would have then seen the registration marks on this sheet, which would have been larger. You then paste that thing down, including its registration marks. You paste it down, and because you can see the marks, you then carve the marks. We found it's more accurate to do it this way. All of us are very, very skilled at putting paper carefully into registration marks. This is one of our prime basic skills. So we use the edge of the paper here as the transfer of the registration. So I've cut these marks here now, and again, we could cut them basically anywhere. They could have been here, 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 here. It wouldn't have mattered. What matters next is that as I glue this down, it goes in so carefully exactly the way it went into the block from which I printed it. And as we paste this down then, the registration, the lines of the drawing are thus transferred. So it's the same process as in the old days with one little quirk. We find it more accurate to put it in than to try and cut marks that have been transferred. Let's go. Let's paste this down. One more confirmation. Put it in. Take a look at it. Are there any defects in the wood that hit any important parts? And no, I've chosen the wood to be a basically clean, open, flat part. But if there was a defect in the wood, we would have to make sure it fell in an open, unneeded space. I think that light's a bit too bright. Let's do this. Let's paste it down. I need two things. I need a bit of water, and we need our school paste. And we are going to have, hopefully, a nice peel. Let's see. Oh, it's Olympics today. And we're going to have a peel. NBC, where are you now that we need you? Okay, for those of you who are new here, this is not the peel. This is the backing sheet coming off. It would be interesting if this was a competitive event where we had to do it two ways. We had to do it perfectly and quickly. Dave here can sit here and take his time because I'm not racing against anybody. But if there were 6 guys all in a row doing this here, who's going to be first off with his perfect sheet of paper? So we have a basically okay peel. Someone's asking, is it a special paper? It is indeed. It's called a gampi washi. It's Japanese washi, and it's made in, as you can see, it's made in layers. This is 5, what they call gomome. It's a weight. It's weight number 5. When you've got weight number 3, you can't really peel because there's not enough body to the paper. But there we go. And what we have left, because this was face down, it was pasted on face down. So what we see on the wood now is the image that you saw me print a couple of minutes ago. And the idea here, again, for those who are new here, is that the area that you see in a yellow-green tone here is the area of wood that will be left behind. The area of wood out here is the wood that's going to be cut away. So this block that I'm about to start carving will be used to print a color tone for the tiger's body. I've highlighted a couple of other areas, eyes, and some highlights. We will cut those away also, so they will not appear in the same color as the tiger's body. That's how this works. I wasn't watching the scores. Have we got 6.7? Ooh, tough on the Olympics. Tough, tough, tough. It's okay. Also, for those of you who are new here, we have tried in the past, actually. We have done this before. We have taken a single peel and we have prepared it again, pasted the image, pasted it down, and we have managed actually in the past to peel off again from one of these backing sheets. So this actually probably isn't half the paper. This is maybe about 2/3 of the paper that came off. And we can do it again and peel off from this. It's really quite extraordinary paper, you know. Absolutely extraordinary paper. So what should I do now? Do I move ahead to do another transfer? What is it? Or do I start carving this one? I'm not sure. I guess we should do another one, you know. The idea, we've got a bit of a problem today. Today it's a hot, humid day outside. It means these transfer sheets were printed on paper that is really quite moist. There's lots of humidity in the air here today. That's not a problem. It doesn't matter. It could be a dry day, it could be a rainy day, it could be a whatever. But because I've printed these now at one level of humidity, I should get them pasted down onto the wood within a reasonable time. If I waited till later this afternoon and the sky cleared a bit and it became a hot day, these sheets of paper are going to actually shrink a bit as the humidity disappears from the air. So if I print it in the morning under high humidity and paste it down in the afternoon, or vice versa, if it started raining, the paper would swell. So I want to paste this one down also right now. So give me a minute while I do this. Once they're pasted down, they're not moving at all. But if you wait too long between printing and pasting, you are going to get in trouble. You're really, really going to get in trouble. And the larger the print is and the more delicate the registration is, the more trouble there's going to be. This is a really soft piece of wood, you know, the knife is just falling into it. If there were any patterns, this block would be unusable. It's way, way, way too soft. But what it will do is it will print a smooth, featureless base tone for this print. But we couldn't print any detail with it, absolutely none. Okay, confirm again before we paste. Looks good. There are some tiny scratches on it, nothing dramatic. The registration would go here. Let's inspect. Not so sure about that, actually. Not so sure about that. Actually, I am going to change the plan here. Look at this. There is actually a scratch here on this piece of wood. There's a defect here. I don't know if you can see it. There's actually it's a bit of hardwood with a bit of a scratch here. And if I did it the way I was laying out here, it would fall just over the tail. And I think it might be visible. So I'm going to I'm going to abort that, flip it around. I should have looked a bit more carefully. I'm going to go in this corner. If I go in this corner, that scratch is buried up in the body of the tiger and it'll never show. The registration marks I just cut, they will be taken away in a minute when we're doing the carving. So let's start again on that. We'll use this corner instead. I'm not catching much of the conversation, I'm sorry. Guitar nails, Soka. It's history, I'm sorry. My guitars are in their cases over in Ome. I used to be very much involved in that. I made classic guitars, sold a bunch of them, and I was going to be a little guitar player. It faded away as with most things once you become a daddy and stuff changes. But yes, at one point I was very much invested in the classic guitar. Never really any good at it, same as a lot of things, but yes. So since then I've just kept the fingers, you know. But if I picked one up now, I wouldn't know what to do with it. Absolutely, I wouldn't know what to do with it. Music stream when, as in never. Never, never, never. I'm enjoying the feeling of being fairly competent at what I do. And if I tried to show you Dave playing music, that would be the actual opposite of that. I was competent, no longer. There's a bunch of lines. It's not the lines. One of them is an actual. There's a split there. The wood in that dark place has decayed, and there's a hole. I could put my knife into the hole there. This one really is different. My knife can fall down into that hole. These others are just wood of a different color. Soundtrack to my life. Soundtrack to my life. you tell it's not a printer's bench? Are we visible? Let's get the camera out. What's this? Somebody says, I haven't seen Dave pat the glue. How closely are you guys watching? Uncle Ernie, haven't seen me pat the glue. No, did I forget? It doesn't matter anymore. It's tradition. Hey, interesting. How closely are people watching? It's so interesting, you know. Here we go. It's really good Gampi, you know. Clap, 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 10 out of 10, whatever. It's the Gampi that's the star here to show. Hontoni, it's the Gampi that's the star here. If we had printed that with a bit more vivid black, you know, I printed it kind of faint because I didn't want distortion, but if we had printed it with a bit more vivid black, the black would have come through to the back, and we would have a print. This would be an actual print that we could, you know, do things with. What you're seeing is the residue of the glue that came through from the front to the back, you know. Oh, my mom is here, is she? Good morning, Mom. Where are we here? People are saying hello to bed, so I guess she must have showed up. Hi, Mom, as they say. Good morning, Mrs. Bull. Hey, that was a nice one. Good and smooth and clean. It just doesn't get any better than this. Let's zoom in again. For carving now, you know. For carving, it's just absolutely fantastic. What you're seeing is the ink that was printed on there, now transferred to the wood, and there's nothing between me and the lines. It doesn't get any better than this. So let's move on then. What's left is the sky. Which one shall we use? Let's move on. Let's go for the sky. I don't want the time here. 9 o'clock. I thought everybody said they were going to be disappearing because of the Olympics and stuff, but I guess not. Of course, places like this, where the whiskers are sticking out, the whiskers, of course, stick out. They will go out into the sky block. The difficult one, though, is this one, where we have the small fur, how far in to bring this sky. And I'm not going to try and draw that or decide that with this marker. I'll be deciding that with my knife at the point when I cut it. I'm going to cut one of those first, obviously the tiger or the sky, and then as I'm carving the second one, I will keep the first block at hand and refer back to it step by step by step to make sure that I'm not leaving any white spots. So this block's easy. It's simply everything that is not tiger and not ground. This block has nothing to do with the eyes or anything else. This will be a darker block. The printers will be testing it. As we said, they're going to test by using, they might even make a night scene. They may make a dark block behind here. They might make a blue sky just for testing. I don't know. My guess is we're going to go with a monotone on this print, but I don't know. That's that. Let's paste it down. And something else to mention here now, for this one, I know the girls yesterday, when I was chatting with Rei-chan and Suga-san upstairs, they really wanted to be involved when I was choosing the wood yesterday. We've had lots of experience and times when I have given them a block to print and there's too much wood grain. If you, that print we did of the wild boars, the inoshishi, the block that was to do the ground had strong wood grain, and all of us who printed it had trouble getting rid of the wood grain. So they were really insistent today, Dave, for this sky block, please choose a piece of wood that doesn't have strong grain lines. Easy to say, difficult to do, but I think I have found a piece that is going to be able to print this sky with, we feel, smooth color. But there's something very, very interesting about this piece of wood. I see people are talking about fires. Coincidence by that, because the piece of wood we are going to be carving on right now has been through a fire. It's been burned around the edges. This is a piece of cherry wood that we got from Yahoo Auctions in a box full of old blocks, and it had clearly been in a fire. And the blocks must have been stacked up in a warehouse somewhere. They were all face to face, face to face. They were carved. We've planed this off. There was a pattern carved on this wood and used for printing. And the whole thing had been at some point in a warehouse fire. So we've salvaged what we could, pasted them down, glued them down onto our base. And this block is now coming back to life. I have no idea how old this would be. The tree would have been 1700s, 1800s, no idea. It would have been used to make a woodblock print in the late Meiji time, perhaps Taisho. So the tree would have grown in the late Edo era. By the time it got to be late Meiji or Taisho, it would have been 60, 70 years old, chopped down, seasoned 6, 7, 8 years, made into a woodblock print, used for woodblocks. We didn't have a full set. We couldn't make prints from this set. We just had a few random blocks, and they were split, torn, burned. So we couldn't use them for making prints. We planed them off, pasted it down, and this piece of wood now, from a tree that was growing in the Edo era for sure, which made a print in the Meiji or Taisho era, is now going to be used to make a print for us. And I think that is pretty cool. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I can't use my handy dandy little marker to do this, so let's do this freehand. And we don't even care about this part of the block. We're not going to use it. It's bashed up, it's got scratches. All we're going to use is the top part of this, the sky. No, it was junk. It was absolute junk. I know we don't destroy valuable antiques, please. We collect them. When we see something with good value, antique interest, we preserve and protect it, absolutely. But the backside of a random fan print that had been burned up, no, nothing at all. Nothing at all. I'm going to tap these. If you've got headphones, I'm going to make a little bit of noise here. I have to tap the chisel here, so if you've got headphones on, be careful. Maybe turn your volume down, take your headphones off. There's no hammering, but I'm going to tap a few taps. Ready? few more. And a few more. Stand by. Okay, done. And this piece of wood too, this is very soft. It wouldn't be usable for a key block. But hopefully it will make nice, smooth color for the background for this print, for this guy. Old blocks like this, they lose their, I forget the Japanese term, nebari. The oils and rosins or whatever they are that are down inside wood, it's all dried out. So this wood has lost all of its, it just doesn't have enough body, but it will do for flat surfaces. So we couldn't use this to carve patterns, couldn't use it to carve lines, but it will do perfectly for a flat surface. It would just wear out too quickly if we carved any detail on it. Test position. In, goes down, we're okay. Down she goes in a clean area here. Let's do this. Someone's worried about the corner being undercut or something. It's irrelevant. We're going to be pressing and printing up here at the top. The bottom will just be for paper positioning, nothing at all. Nebari, yeah, I think ne in that sense is ne, the roots. This is different. It's a different kanji. I don't know the kanji at all. We're talking about. I don't even know in English. The opposite is nebari ga nai, when it's all dried out and there's nothing left but a corn husk kind of dryness. It doesn't have any of the fluids and liquid and meat that you need. It's just dried out. But I don't know what the word would be in English. Nebari. What would you say in English? A piece of wood that isn't too dried out and rotten to use. A wood that has some normal, natural solidity. It's got fluids. I don't know what you would say in English. Seasoned maybe, kana? So, I'm not sure. Seasoned is what you do, like a green tree when you cut it down is wet and moist and you can't use it because it's too wet. Then after it's dried to a certain nice level, it's nicely seasoned and you can use it. This is wood that has gone past that kind of a thing and is now too dried out to use. So interesting. So I'm not sure the word, so this is seasoned beyond usability or just old beyond usability. go. I saw that. Another thing too about this old wood, we've had this before on this. We've had this before. The older the wood gets like this, it gets darker and browner. You can see the difference. Now the wood we're using right now, the new fresh wood, is quite light. As it's exposed to oxygen, cherry wood gets, I guess it's, I don't know, not rusting, what's the word? It oxidizes. So when we're carving here, it's sometimes really difficult. You couldn't do a fine line print. If I was trying to carve these hairs, it's so difficult to see some of the lines against the darkness of the background wood. In this case, it's not going to be a problem because we're just carving simply these lines and outside the edge of this. But that would be a problem, you know. That can be helped by using a bit of oil. I'm not going to fool around too much here, but imagine if I was carving this thing in the middle here. The paper is thin, and what you can do when you're carving, if I were going to carve this right now, for example, you can wipe it with a bit of oil, and look at that, it turns it completely transparent, and then you're good to go. And that's what I will do bit by bit by bit later today as I'm carving the edge of this tiger. I will get my finger out, and I will rub a bit of oil along it as I go, excuse me, to help me do this, adding transparency. I'm not going to do it now over the whole thing because the liquid, it would pull it off. It would help soften the glue and pull it off. Well, there we are. So we have now 3. There is a 4th block coming. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm running out of time now. That 4th transfer sheet, and it is going to be the sheet which we use for the eye of the tiger. The entire block will just be the 2 areas that are the tiger's eyes. And we're going to hold that in reserve. And what we are thinking then for this image, the first printing plan for this image will be, as we said, just to recap one final time before we quit here. When we print this, the key block will go on first with the black gray lines that you see here. We will then print a base tone over the entire sheet, including everything probably except the cartouche. We will then print the tiger color, and we will print the sky color. And that will give us a basically 3-tone print. It'll be the ground, base, and the sky, and the tiger. And then we think for a 4th block, we will print a very, very faint, not bright, we will print a very, very faint gradation from the top inside each eye of a very faint red vermilion color, bringing a bit of vivid to the tiger. The tongue will have the base tone visible at the highlight place, and it will have the tiger tone visible. They've done this tiger not as a fur color, they've done it as a tiger color, including the tongue. And I'm just going to follow this. I think if we left that off the tongue, it would look stupid. It would be too much emphasis on this tongue sticking out. So we don't want that. So there's the idea. That's what we are going to do here. It's now 9:15. Let's move along to the final segment of today's little show, whatever. Tiger can rest for a few minutes. Okay, 2 things. I have the show and tell folder that we were working on the other day. Yes, so you're just reminding me. I have the show and tell folder, and we're ready to open this folder and flip through a few more pages of it. But before we do that, I want to put it aside for a moment. Something else has come up that I could use the assistance and help of the stream on. So it's a little bit of a sidetrack here. About 2 years ago, I showed you a group of wood blocks that we received from auction. It was an old group of wood blocks from the Takamizawa company, and they dated from the pre-war period. Oh, and in fact, funny enough, these were wood blocks that had been in a fire. So it's possibly the block I just showed you was part of this box of wood blocks that we got. Among those wood blocks were a bunch of very finely carved, beautifully carved hagaki size, postcard size prints. A couple of years ago, or maybe about a year ago, one of our printers took a bunch of these and we had to go out making some prints, and they are in our catalog now. 2 or 3 weeks ago, an outside printer who we haven't worked with before, one of the guys from the printing, what they call the Kumiai, a professional printer who's been here for quite some time, whatever, about my age, he said, "Do you have any work for me?" He had heard that we were desperately short of printers. We are, but long story short, I'm not ready to just throw work out to everybody in town. So he said, "Can I do a test? Can I do a trial print for you?" And I said, "Well, okay, whatever, let's try something." And I didn't have anything prepared, so I gave him this set of blocks. I don't even have a sample. It's this set of blocks. It's a Hiroshige design. It's supposedly signed Hiroshige, and it's labeled Fujisawa, which is one of the stations on the Tokaido. And the key block is just simply a little bit of a village with some bamboo and some rainstorm coming in. And it's got a tori marked Enoshima. Now this is presumably at the Enoshima area, which is not on the Tokaido, but Fujisawa is on the Tokaido. Anyway, he said, "Okay, give me a sample of what it should look like." And I don't have one. I went out to the net, to the various places where we look for old pictures, and I could not find one. And I'm throwing this out to the group here, if 600 of you, or 300, how many there are today. If you can help me find this, it's nominally Hiroshige. It says Fujisawa, which is one of the stations on the Tokaido, and one of the location inside is labeled Enoshima. So I gave the guy the blocks to try, and he has never done anything like this before, tried to create with no sample. And he came back with a first rough printing from these blocks. Now there's no way we will be able to sell something like this. It's just a first rough trial. The wooden structure here is yellow plus gray. That wouldn't be right. There's something missing. There may even be blocks missing. We don't know. So what I need now, if we can find it, is a sample from the old days. And I cannot find one anywhere. Based on this shape, rain falling on the temple at Enoshima in the Fujisawa area with nominally Hiroshige. So later on, if anybody can help find this, we would be grateful, 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 beyond chocolate egg grateful. We will be physically grateful, as in like we can send you something. If somebody can help me find an image from the old days of this particular design. Now don't look at the colors here. Don't look for green and the yellow, because this printer just slapped some rough colors on as an attempt to try something here. So what you're looking for is the image. Everybody's gone silent. You're all searching for this. Good, good, good. Go for it, go for it, go for it. Then the words we're looking for here are, we'll put it in. The designer is Hiroshige. The location here is labeled Fujisawa. And Fujisawa can be spelled two ways. Physically grateful. What did I say? I don't know what I said. What I meant was, in real life, we'll be grateful in real life, not just saying thank you. Okay, so there's your homework, class. There's your homework. No, of course. I mean, I have searched for Hiroshige, Fujisawa, and Hiroshima. We have searched up and down and around in the front door and in the back door. We have searched high and low for this, and I cannot find hide nor hair of it. And it's possible that it doesn't exist. It's possible that Takamizawa in the pre-war era just said, we need some more prints, I don't know, whatever, just somebody make something that looks like a Hiroshige print. They could have made it up, I don't know. But I think it's more than likely there is one out there somewhere. Somewhere. I tried Google reverse image search, but that just works mostly on colors. It sees green and yellow and looks for green and yellow. And we don't know what the colors were on this. So anyway, as we've basically sort of given up on this. So if somebody out there can find something. So Koringami's got the idea here. It could be from a sketchbook. Maybe it wasn't an actual woodblock print. It could have been a sketchbook that, that Takamizawa simply decided to turn into a print. Anybody's got anything, send me a link. Go to one of our comments pages, send an email to me anywhere. Anything would be appreciated. Okay, anyway, here we go. We have 10 or 15 minutes left, so let's have a look. We came through our book here looking at a couple of random images in this little scrapbook, literal scrapbook. Let's see what's on the next page. This should be interesting to look at for a few minutes, I think. This is actually an unusual item in our collection here. Most of Dave's collection, we've talked about this before, it's a random grab bag. Someone's got it. Fujisawa based on an unidentified print by Hiroshige. Okay, I will follow this. I will follow this. Whoever found this, step 1, if it's true, here's your chocolate egg. Step 2, send me an email, talk to Cameron, whatever, send us your physical address. Because if this is true, if you've already found it, we have to hey, this is the cool thing about having a stream. Copy link address. Right, let's go. I think it's probably only going to copy part of it. Is that what's happening here? Excuse me a second. Okay, well, the first link I'm seeing here is not this at all. Absolutely. The one here that says Enoshima in the Sagami province, that is not even remotely it. This is collectionsmfday.org. There we have it. There we have it. Museum of Fine Arts, Boston. Look at this. And that's the Takamizawa print. That's this blocks. Okay, this is interesting. This is interesting. The print that we're looking at here, the link, just so I know which link we're talking about. This link we're talking about. Hang on here. I will copy and paste here the link I copied from earlier. I don't know who sent it. That link is to the Museum of Fine Arts, and we are not looking at a Hiroshige original. We are looking at a print from this block set. Here is our first rough guess on this, which is too much of a nice and daytime. So I have mixed feelings about this. Yes, this will be useful. We will be able to see what the company did with this block set, because that's it. It's exactly the same blocks. Look at that. What do they say? Tanseido, Taisho era, early Showa. How do they know this is Tanseido? The Leonard A. Lauder collection of Japanese postcards. But there's our sample, and it's the same block set. It's exactly the same block set. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Okay, where are we? Up on top here, look at this. Looking quickly back up to that original on the MFA, it seems that up at the top of the print there's a couple of small gaps where the sky doesn't quite meet the border line. there's one at the left, and there's one at the right where the sky goes past the borderline. And here we have a place where, look at this. This block is scooped down. There's your little white streak on that print. And here a printer has jammed some wood in because there was a split and it comes up a bit too far. This is the block set for that print in that picture. Absolutely no questions asked. Absolutely. Double chocolate egg, give me your address. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, madam, whoever it is, I'm sorry, not to be a whatever. Thank you very, very much. Okay, we can take the story further. I can't do this right now for you, but we bought this block set. We have dozens of these. We have dozens of them. They're all labeled in the same way, from the same place, from the same series, and we couldn't find many of them on. So this story actually can continue further. The guy who did the test printing last week, he had this block. He didn't know what to do with it. So he left it off. He used it to print a gradation at the top, and he didn't know what to do with it, so he left it off. And without having a sample to show him, I didn't know what to tell him. And it turns out that yes, indeed, it's a night scene. So blocks like this would have been used with extra gray to make this thing into a dark night scene. He also didn't know what to do with this one. He put a gradation at the top, and he didn't know what to do with this area here, so he left it off. And I can see now, going back to that top one, yes, there should be a second gradation here in this area. Okay, this is super, super, super useful. This was just a first rough go, but you can see what's happening here. We simply need to take this further now and darken it, extra gradation on the green, extra gradation here, extra gradation at the bottom. It needs to really go into being a night scene. This is the structure of it, but no guts. Look at that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So he got the colors basically right, because what he did was we looked at the block to see what was on there. You know, we could see that this was some kind of a dirty, you can actually do it. You can get these old blocks and you scratch off little bits here and there. And you can actually scratch off some pigment. You put it on a piece of paper, rub it with your finger, and you can see the color that the previous printers used. So he knew there was a palette, something like this. There was some kind of yellow, some kind of green, some kind of gray. But what to do with it without having any kind of sample, that's as far as he got. Okay, good. A print is about to be born. This is really, really helpful. Really helpful. Who is this that did this? Somebody tell me the name. Is that the person here? Nani? Ming. I don't know how to say this. M-I-N-C-I-I-T-S. No idea. Anyway, that's great. Really, really, really helpful. Really helpful. I remember something a few years ago, we did this. I was looking for the designer of some prints that we were putting in the flea market. And I had the prints coming up one by one. And I remember I put them up on the screen so that the chat could see what was coming up. And people were looking for them online live while I was doing my cataloging. And it turned out to be really, 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 really helpful. Okay. Well, I can't top that. So there we are. I said we were going to look at some show and tell, but let's leave it. We have had a good show and tell here. We have had a very, very excellent, good show and tell. Mostly because of the help from here. What did he win? I don't know. I will talk to this person first. A chocolate egg on the stream here, and I will happily very much send a print or a couple of prints, because the assistance here has transferred what would transform just what would be a test play for us. We are now going to be able to publish that print. in a beautiful, beautiful area, a beautiful, beautiful version. So thank you again very much. This person is disappeared here. I just found it while searching for Fujisawa on Google. I did that. I did that for hours. Anyway, thank you, sir. Give me by email, please, your name, information, name, rank, serial number, and we will have something on the way to you. Thank you very, very much. And Jeff, what I should do then is, I can't think about it right now, but we have more of these blocks that are unknown to us. So I should actually, maybe in a stream next week or something, I will tip you off about more of these things that you can help search us for. Thank you very much. Okay, there we are. Let's get out of here. It's Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning now. For me now, you know what I'm doing. I'm carving these color blocks. Test printing starts tomorrow morning. Deijan's coming in. She'll be here at 7:30. She wants to start work. So for me now, my bum is glued to this bench. I have to prepare these 4 color blocks before tonight. That means that then by next Monday, I have no work to do, or not this work to do. What's next Monday's stream going to be about? I have no idea. I absolutely have no idea. We'll talk about it on Monday. I have no idea what to do. There's a box that came in yesterday. I think it was delivered while you were here. It's a box full of wood blocks for the Great Wave. And I have to decide what to do with the Great Wave. And maybe then Monday's stream is going to be talking about that, fooling around about that. I don't know. I'll decide in a couple of days. Let's put the outside up. Oh, look at this. Deserted. Absolutely deserted out there. I guess same as over there. Everybody now is at home watching TV. Well, no, there are some people out there. But obviously, it's TV time for almost everybody. Rather than a young lady walking by, we get this guy. Oh well, can't be helped. Signing off. See you in a couple of days. Thanks very much. Thank you again. Bye for now.